Before I turned 19, the script of my life was the kind of gilded, perfect template that even a Hollywood screenwriter couldn't dream up. I still remember the tears of joy in my mother's eyes when the SAT scores arrived, and she saw the perfect 800 in the math section. It wasn't just a number, it was the most direct ticket to the world of the elite. As expected, I got into a star-studded, top-tier university in California to study chemical engineering, a major that seemed to pulse with intellect and a promising future. College became an amplifier for my charisma. I was more than just a bookworm. I was a social dynamo, blessed with what felt like superhuman energy. I successfully ran for and won the vice presidency of the student government, basking in the countless admiring gazes from the crowd as I spoke at school-wide assemblies. I was also the president of my fraternity, leading a pack of equally proud young men in planning parties and events that became the talk of the campus. At 6 feet tall, I was the shooting guard for the varsity basketball team, and every jump, every precise shot, would elicit screams from the girls on the sidelines. I had what seemed to be an unassailable life: stellar grades, a leadership position, striking looks, a healthy physique, and a well-off family who ran motels and a turquoise shop in Nevada. Not top-tier wealthy, but more than enough to ensure I never had to worry about a thing. These halos shone on me like spotlights, making me feel like the king of the world. However, the brighter the light, the deeper the shadow. Amidst the praise and adulation, something dangerous began to grow quietly within me, a boundless arrogance and a restless spirit. I grew accustomed to boasting, to packaging my shallow understanding of things in seemingly profound insights. I was convinced I was invincible, that I could control everything. This was the first, and most fatal, time bomb I planted for my eventual fall from grace into an abyss from which there was no return. In those hormone-fueled years, my love life was as cinematic as everything else. It's no exaggeration to say that 4 exceptional girls on campus were once vying for my affection, their drama becoming a hot topic on the campus forums. But in the end, I chose Emily. She was like a gentle ray of light in my life, an art student majoring in dance, 5 feet 8 inches tall with a graceful figure, and a smile so sweet it could melt the thin winter ice in California. She worked as a part-time model, her photos gracing the pages of local magazines. She was a goddess in everyone's eyes. More importantly, her parents were influential local political figures, which fed my ridiculous vanity immensely. I naively believed that together, we were a match made in heaven, the kind of power couple that would make everyone jealous. The first twist of fate came without warning, carrying with it the bitter taste of adulthood. During our junior year, wanting more time to ourselves, we rented a cozy apartment near campus and moved in together. Those days were filled with sweetness. We cooked together, took long walks across campus at night, and planned a glittering future. Then, an unexpected pregnancy shattered everything. At that age, we panicked. Neither of us was ready to take on the responsibility of a new life. After countless nights of struggle and tears, we made the difficult decision. I still vividly remember sitting outside the cold operating room, hearing Emily's suppressed, heart-wrenching sobs from within. That sound was like a rusty saw, cutting through my heart inch by inch. It became a poison dart lodged permanently in my soul, an indelible shadow. In that moment, I clenched my fists so tight my nails dug into my palms, and I made a solemn vow to myself and to the girl suffering inside. Emily, I love you. I swear I will never let you down. I will give you the best life imaginable and spend my entire life making up for today's pain. This vow became the driving force behind all my subsequent actions and the catalyst for my destruction. Upon graduation, my father called several times, telling me he had arranged a high-paying, stable engineering job for me in Nevada and hoped I would come home. But I flatly refused. My future was in California, in the place where I had made my promise. I was determined to make it on my own in Los Angeles, a city of opportunity and challenges, and then marry Emily in style. However, reality soon delivered a resounding slap in the face to this arrogant, chosen one. My once prized degree and resume didn't seem so special in the vast job market. For 6 months, my applications vanished into a void, and the few interviews I landed ended in failure due to my hubris. A tide of frustration drowned me. It was then that my cousin, an associate professor of business at USC, came to LA on a business trip and stopped by to see me. Seeing my dejected state in the apartment, he comforted me and casually mentioned that a friend of his was an early shareholder in a rapidly expanding chain of tech service companies with an innovative business model. They were recruiting city partners. To me, in that moment, his offhand comment was a lifeline thrown to a drowning man. It became the true beginning of my tragedy. The very next day, I contacted the company. In their modern-looking office, a project salesman with a highly persuasive pitch painted a grand blueprint of financial freedom for me. He told me I would be the exclusive agent for a territory, using their patented technology and proven model to easily earn $1 million a year. In that intoxicating atmosphere, what little business sense I had completely failed me. Without doing any background research, without even consulting my cousin for his professional opinion, I was swept away by the illusory promise of being my own boss. Using my parents' name as collateral, I borrowed $15,000 from every relative and friend I could, and with boundless ambition, I became one of the company's city partners. The result was predictable. The so-called patented technology couldn't stand up to scrutiny, and the proven model was just a pyramid scheme based on recruiting more people. I gave it my all and managed to close only one deal, my first and last. After costs, my profit was less than $2,000. 6 months later, my small team disbanded, and the office was long deserted. After exhausting myself trying to get my investment back, I only recovered half of it. The failure not only wiped out my savings and the money I'd borrowed, but also dealt a severe blow to my confidence. To survive, and to maintain a final shred of dignity in front of Emily, I swallowed my pride and started tutoring high school students in math and chemistry for the SAT online. Banking on my perfect SAT score and genuinely effective teaching methods, I quickly made a name for myself in the online tutoring community. My student base grew, and my income rose steadily, soon stabilizing at over $3,000 a month. Life seemed to be back on track. Emily was also thriving, having landed a teaching position at an expensive private preschool thanks to her talent. She remained as gentle and considerate as ever, never complaining about my temporary career setbacks. When my bank account finally had $20,000 in it again, my ever-supportive parents wired me another $30,000, bringing my savings to $50,000. We looked at a house in the suburbs with a beautiful yard. We even started discussing what color to paint the walls and what flowers to plant. In that moment, I felt a happy future was once again within my grasp. However, the beast inside me named hubris had never truly been tamed. I was a die-hard NBA fan, one of the few hobbies that brought me pure joy. On my days off, I spent hours on ESPN forums and other sports communities, watching games, analyzing stats, and predicting outcomes. My profound understanding of team form, player injuries, and tactical systems led me to accurately predict game winners and even point spreads time and time again. This earned me a reputation on the forums. A legion of fans called me the professor and treated my analysis as gospel. This success in the virtual world filled the void left by my real-world business failure, allowing me to recapture that illusion of being in control. My arrogant mindset took over once again. I started to think, if I'm this accurate, why not turn this talent into real money? At first, I was extremely cautious, placing small, fun bets of $10 or $20 on legal platforms like DraftKings. A win bought me a cup of coffee, and the thrill of monetizing my intellect was intoxicating. A loss was no big deal. Then, through obscure forum links, I discovered a whole new world, unregulated offshore online casinos. I saw people posting their winnings from sports betting, online slots, and high-frequency lotteries, making a year's salary overnight. The flashing dollar amounts and boastful posts ignited the greed deep inside me like a torch. I downloaded their app, ready for my big break. Initially, I set strict rules for myself. Use my analysis to win just $50 to $100 a day, then stop immediately. No chasing wins. For a while it worked. Watching the balance in my account grow steadily each day, I naively believed I had found a shortcut in life, that this talent would ensure I'd never have to worry about money again. I even started fantasizing about buying that house outright with cash, giving Emily a huge surprise. I was completely unaware that this is the sweetest and most lethal trap the house sets for every gambler. They use small, early wins to nurture the beast of greed inside you. Once awakened, a gambling addiction is like a venomous python. It coils around you gently at first, and then, the moment you let your guard down, it tightens its grip until you suffocate. After 2 weeks of consistent wins, I started to feel that winning $100 a day was too slow. My desire swelled, and I increased my stakes. Then came my first significant loss, $500 overnight. The feeling wasn't pain, but anger and indignation. I told myself it was just bad luck, that my analysis was sound. So, I wagered $1,000 to win it all back in one go. I lost again. The snowball started rolling. $50, $100, $500, $1,000, $5,000. The more I lost, the more desperate I became, and the more desperately I bet, the more reckless my wagers became. I even absurdly dug out my old college philosophy books, trying to use concepts like unity of knowledge and action, and the philosophy of probability, to guide my betting. I built complex mathematical models for myself, deluding myself into thinking I could beat the sophisticated algorithms controlled by teams of actuaries and psychologists. I had no idea that my reason had already been devoured by the massive emotional swings of winning and losing and the constant surge of adrenaline. When I lost my first $10,000, my body and mind were already sounding serious alarms. I started suffering from insomnia, my eyes bloodshot as I stared at my phone screen all night, refreshing the scores of games played by teams I didn't even know. I lost my appetite, broke out in cold sweats, and had heart palpitations. Emily thought I was just exhausted from online teaching. She lovingly urged me to rest, made me soup, and gave me massages. Every ounce of her kindness felt like a whip lashing my tormented soul, making my guilt burn like a wildfire. But I couldn't bring myself to tell her the truth. By the time my savings had dwindled to $25,000, I had completely fallen. I was living a double life. In front of Emily, I forced a smile and pretended everything was normal. The moment she left for work, I transformed into a red-eyed gambler. I was distracted during my lessons, calling students by the wrong names several times. When I was alone, our apartment became a haze of smoke, littered with cigarette butts, takeout trash, and beer cans. Emily came home early once and was shocked by the state of the room. She didn't blame me, just held me tightly and said with concern, "Honey, you're under too much stress. Let's go out and clear our heads." That night, she took me to the same Mexican restaurant where we had our first date. In the soft light and romantic music, I looked at her beautiful face, at the love and worry filling her eyes. The vow I made, to make her the happiest woman in the world, stabbed my heart like a red-hot knife. In that instant, a demonic voice screamed in my head, "Put all the rest in. Just one bet. Win it back, and you win everything back. You can buy the house, you can make her happy, you can go back to the way things were." As if possessed, I excused myself to go to the restroom. With trembling hands, I wagered the entire remaining $25,000 in my bank account on a high-odds tennis match. I stared at my phone screen, my heart pounding as if it would burst from my chest. Finally, the cold, hard word lose appeared, shattering all my illusions like a bullet. I had lost everything. Once you fall into the abyss, there is no turning back. I went completely insane. Hiding it from Emily, I used our joint information and my personal credit to apply for multiple high-limit credit cards. I began weaving a web of lies to every relative, friend, and even the parents of students I had taught. I'm expanding my online education business. I've invested in a short-term, high-return project. I used these lies to raise over $150,000. I told myself it wasn't gambling, it was a professional investment. I would use this larger capital to win back everything I had lost. In just 6 months, every single credit card was maxed out. When Emily excitedly held up a real estate brochure and asked again about the down payment for the house we liked, I could only stammer and deflect. In that moment, I saw a flash of disappointment in her eyes. By then, my soul had been corroded by gambling, turning me into a walking corpse whose every emotion and rational thought served only the wins and losses at the betting table. After I borrowed another $10,000 from various illegal online lenders, the end finally came. Calls from collection agencies, like countless mini-bombs, began to detonate on the phones of my parents, my relatives, and even Emily and her mother. Their crude, threatening words ripped away my final disguise. That night, Emily's mother called, her voice filled with anger and contempt. After Emily hung up, she looked at me with an expression I had never seen before, a mixture of shock, sorrow, and utter disappointment. She didn't ask a single question. She just silently walked into the bedroom and started packing her things. I stood in the living room like a puppet, unable to say a word. She dragged her suitcase out, stood before me for one last look, then opened the door and disappeared into the night and out of my life. In absolute despair, I felt my entire world collapse. I walked into the kitchen, unscrewed the cap of a bottle of industrial-strength cleaner, and prepared to end my absurd, failed life in the most painful way possible. Before my consciousness began to fade, perhaps driven by some primal instinct to survive, I managed to make a video call to my uncle in Nevada. On the other end of the screen, he immediately sensed something was wrong, my complexion, the look in my eyes, and the open bottle of chemicals beside me. He yelled my name through the phone, trying to keep me conscious, while immediately alerting Emily and her family. They broke down the door with a spare key and rushed me, already foaming at the mouth, to the hospital. My parents, uncle, and aunt drove for 6 or 7 hours through the night from Nevada to Los Angeles. When I awoke from the excruciating pain of having my stomach pumped, the first thing I saw was their haggard faces and bloodshot eyes. And the first thing I did was grab my father's hand and, like a madman, beg him, "Dad, just lend me some more money. One last time, I promise I can win it back. I can break even." That pleading posture, that desperate look in my eyes, it was indistinguishable from a junkie in the throes of withdrawal, begging for a fix of heroin. My father didn't scold me, he just wept. My mother and aunt were sobbing uncontrollably, hugging me so tightly it felt as if I would shatter if they let go.